Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another unboxing video, and this time it's Gillan. Gillan from 1978 to 1982, although some of the tracks go a little bit further than that. Anyway, let's have a look inside the box, then I'll give you my full summary and an overview of these albums for anyone who's new to the band at the end of that. So this is a look at the Gillan box set, Gillan 1978 to 1982, a 7 CD box set featuring the classic solo albums from Deep Purple's iconic singer, Mr. Universe, Glory Road, Future Shock, Double Trouble, Magic, and their debut Japanese album, as it's most famously called. Booklet features a new interview with Ian Gillan by Rich Davenport, and mutually assured destruction is guaranteed. So it's the size of a 7-inch single, basically, and on the back cover you can see we've got I'll just hold this a bit further up to the camera, the Japanese album as it's known, Mr. Universe, Glory Road, Future Shock, Double Trouble, Studio, Double Trouble Live, bonus tracks, CD 7 is Magic. I'll give my summary at the end, so I'm just going to show you basically what's in the set. So it's a slipcase which you can open at either end, which I shall endeavour to do now. So that's just, as I say, the slipcase around it. And then you've got two sets where you can look at the albums, the CDs. So this folds out into 3 panels. So what they've tried to do is give you the front of each album and the back of each album. On Double Trouble, they've also duplicated that. I would have put maybe some live photos, but it's okay. And Magic, the front cover, and Magic, the back cover. And then the first set, I've opened it in reverse order, is Mr. Universe, the Gillan album, the Japanese one, Future Shock, the reverse of Future Shock, the reverse of Glory Road, and here is the reverse of Mr. Universe and the reverse of the Japanese album. And then the booklet has various bits of memorabilia. So basically what they've tried to do is all the kind of photos that are in the gatefold sleeves that are missing, they've kind of sprinkled them over the booklet. So you've got a nice essay here where Ian Gillan has contributed in various places. It's quite short. It gives the overview of what happened when Ian Gillan left Deep Purple, what he did with other business ventures, and then moving into the Ian Gillan band, the jazz fusion period, and then basically moving into the Gillan band proper, and how the Japanese album came about, and the various musicians. And then we've got the credits for the essay, etc. And then we've got the albums with the famous Gillan logo, the Japanese album, and these photos are from the inner sleeve from that gatefold album with the tracks. We've got here Vengeance, Moving with the Time, Sleeping on the Job, Roller. It says here previous unreleased version from Mr. Universe, that will be the Japanese edition. And this is Mr. Universe, and that is the Japanese edition there. And we've got obviously the bonus tracks, Smoke on the Water, which is a B-side of Vengeance, Parliament Square, Mr. Universe outtake. These pictures, or a lot of them, are from the UK edition of Mr. Universe and also the Japanese one. That's from the tour programme, as is that. These are 2 singles I remember buying as well from Glory Road. And the bonus tracks are highlights from Gillan fans only, with the patch that came with Sleeping on the Job, Future Shock, various picture sleeves from this period. There's a lot of bonus tracks here because there were a lot of singles with exclusive B-sides. Double Trouble, bonus track was on a flexi disc from Flexi Pop magazine. Again, these are the single sleeves, and then the pictures, which I kind of mentioned could have been in the fold-out card holding the CDs, are actually here, so it's fine. And we've got the bonus tracks here as well from the double 7-inch pack from that period. Tour programme, Magic, press picture there, and there's a lot of bonus tracks again from Magic, as there was a lot of B-sides involved in South Africa, which is an Ian Gillan's solo single, really, which was after the Gillan band in many ways, Leaving for the City, and then the gatefold for Magic is reproduced at the very back, and an outtake from the Mr. Universe sessions for that album on the back. So that is the Gillan box set from 1978 to 1982. So that's Gillan, 1978 to 1982. A fantastic set of albums by one of my favourite offshoots of the Deep Purple canon. Family, if you wish. These albums have been issued many times in many ways. They've also been in a vinyl box set. This isn't them, but these are my original albums. So I've been a fan since these albums first came out, and I bought them all at the time, including the Japanese album and Japanese import. And then I bought them all as they came out on CD, and then I also bought the CDs that came out on Enzel Records. I can't remember, when was this? Because I think this is important to say for those of you, you'll understand what I mean. So these came out in 2007. So that's over 15 odd years ago, isn't it? So it's been a long time. And as I say, they recently came out on vinyl. So this box set, I feel, is aimed at people who missed out on the original vinyl albums, and they missed out on the original CDs, and they missed out on these special editions that came out, as I say, in about 2007. So if you bought those, this box set may not be technically aimed at you. I'll just move my camera a little bit over. And that's because there isn't a lot in it that you won't have. In fact, if you have these previous editions, there isn't really anything extra. So you are literally looking at buying something you already have. But if you don't have these albums, this is a fantastic opportunity to have everything in one place. So what could have been done differently? So I'm just going to touch on that, because I have had quite a few comments from people saying, where's for Gillan fans only? For Gillan fans only, I can't think of Glory Road without having that second disc. And on the previous CD issue, for Gillan fans only was included. It's an integral part of it. But I understand why they've done this, because this is all about the Gillan band. And a lot of those tracks weren't the Gillan band. They were like solo pieces by Mick Underwood or whatever, or little bits of B-sides, which they've included. I mean, obviously Dragon's Tongue, which was a Colin Towns outtake track, you can't find that anywhere else. So it's a shame that that's not on there. But some of the other tracks, of course, were on the Japanese album. So I'm not going to get hung up on that. And if you're new to the Gillan band, I wouldn't get hung up on that at all. The key part of this may be the first album, the Japanese album. The album that started was the bridge between the Ian Gillan band, the jazz fusion aspect of what Ian was doing with Colin Towns, and of course they're moving into the kind of new wave of British heavy metal, which Gillan sat on top of more than anything else. Because yes, you might have these previous reissues, but what you probably may not have is the Japanese album, which was such a fantastic record. I remember hearing that on the Tommy Vance rock show where Ian Gillan was being interviewed. He couldn't get a record deal anywhere. The world was changing, but Japan, he still had quite a bit of influence over there, and they put this out. And it is an amazing album, absolutely incredible record. It's a different lineup to the one that made Mr. Universe, but so good was it that Fighting Man, which really, for many people, is one of Ian Gillan's finest moments on record. It's one of my favourite tracks that features Ian Gillan on vocals. They used this version from the Japanese album on the release for Mr. Universe because it couldn't be bettered. It's Steve Birdie's on guitar. It's absolutely incredible. John McCoy, Liam McGinochy on drums. It's absolutely fantastic. Secret Dance, Street Theatre, I'm Your Man, Dead of Night, Fighting Man, Message in a Bottle, Abbey of Thelema, Back in the Game. Back in the Game is incredible, like Deep Purple kind of guitar, keyboards, lots of Hammond. I mean, one of the things of trying to remind some of you who are new to this, what it was like back then, and this is 78 to 79, 80, is that Deep Purple were gone, technically. They ground to halt in 1976. But they were a very unusual band in many ways, in that, apart from bands like Yes, perhaps, where every single member of Deep Purple went on to become a well-known musician in their own right and to have another career, or several careers after Purple. So, yes, we didn't have Deep Purple, but we had Gillan, Whitesnake, and Rainbow. Hughes was still trying to find himself, perhaps. But after those three, Whitesnake, Rainbow, and Gillan, in many ways, for me, Gillan were the most interesting. By this time, towards the end of the 70s, Richie was beginning to wonder which way he wanted to take Rainbow. He was looking towards the States and Foreigner and all this kind of feel, from the first album to Rising and Long Live Rock and Roll. He was kind of changing direction. David Coverdale was trying to find where he wanted to be, perhaps. But there was something about the Gillan band that was just completely and utterly unique. They just looked different, whereas the other bands were trying to look like your serious rock bands. There was something about Gillan, especially from Mr. Universe onwards, where you had Bernie Torme, who looked like he was auditioning for Pirates of the Caribbean, with his long kind of coat and his different coloured hair and Ziggy stripe on his face, and his Hendrix tortured Strat sound, which was part punk as well as Hendrix. Incredible noise, like a dying horse or elephant, the way he used the tremolo arm, but it fitted so perfectly into this chaotic sound that was the Gillan band. John McCoy, with half his head shaved and the other half not. He was a big chap, pogoing across the stage wearing his parachute fatigues. And then Ian Gillan, looking like a biker. Colin Towns looking like a serious composer with his dinner jacket on, etc. Lots of sparkles. Mick Underwood at the back, powerhouse drummer. They just looked so different to what was going on. They were unique. And I think out of all the members of Deep Purple, I think I saw Gillan more than any other of the offshoots. I just loved the Gillan band. So to me, yes, you might have think, well, could they have added more live stuff and an extra disc with some of the live stuff from Reading, etc. But some of you can find that elsewhere. What this package does is give you 7 CDs of the 7 key albums of the Gillan band. And if you're new to this part of the Deep Purple story, this is a fantastic place to start. It really is. And I mean that. The Japanese album, as I've said, from 1978. Mr. Universe, which duplicated on some of the tracks, but not that many of them, considering how soon it was. Such was the writing power of this band. But, and I've always felt this, it was Colin Towns and Ian Gillan. My eyes on the writing credits just went to that partnership, because there was something about the way that Colin Towns knew exactly how to get the best out of Ian Gillan's voice. He knew exactly what needed to be done. And Colin Towns is a classical jazz composer, the real deal musician. He's made a complete name for himself writing all sorts of film soundtracks. But he could see that even though he must have liked the kind of jazz fusion and really stretching out as a musician, he knew that Ian Gillan was a rock vocalist. And Fighting Man was this bridge to this new world. And you look at the kind of the songwriting credits for Mr. Universe, Second Sight, the perfect way of opening rock, anthemic rock songs back in those days with like a keyboard kind of, soloing at the front end. Perfect. Secret of the Dance is like a powerhouse thrash punk aspect of a song. She Tears Me Down. Roller was a real Purple-esque track. Mr. Universe, with a part of Mr. Universe, which is so chaotic as the guitar solo comes in that you almost lose the drums. It's a real kind of garagey, punky, full, no holds barred kind of approach to production. So different to what was going on around them, really, with this polished American sound coming in across the Atlantic and everything supposed to be just right. There was something chaotic about the Gillan band, and I think a punk attitude to it, as if like this is real rock and roll. This is real rock music. Vengeance was a single, Dead of Night, Message in a Bottle, Fighting Man, as I mentioned, and Smoke on the Water, which is included here as a bonus track. Smoke on the Water was a 33 RPM speed B-side of the single Vengeance, which they did after coming home from the pub. And it's absolutely chaotic. It's the most balmy, heavy, thrashy version of Smoke on the Water you'll ever hear. I just love it. And the guitar solo at the end, which Bernie kind of transplanted into No Easy Way on the next album, is just fantastic. Great stuff. And then, of course, Glory Road was the next song, which is one of my favorites because, again, each of the Gillan albums has an absolute Gillan Towns classic, timeless, epic song. The previous one might have been Mr. Universe. Well, yes, Mr. Universe. Yes. And Fighting Man on the one before that. And this one had On the Rocks. On the Rocks off Glory Road is an absolute epic rock song. It has everything, all the ingredients. Again, the kind of ethereal, keyboard-led introduction, very proggy, you might say, and then we come into this fantastic descending riff. It has bits that are fast, bits that pull back, a great solo, great keyboard, and a wonderful lyric for Mr. Gillan himself. Are You Sure? Unchain Your Brain, which is again another thrash kind of metal song that's really so fast. It's like a cross between Accept and something that had yet to come with bands like Metallica later on in the 80s. If You Believe in Me was the blues song. Running Whiteface City Boy, Nervous, great track. And the tracks here, the bonus ones, are from For Gillan's Fans Only, with Handles on Her Hips, I Might As Well Go Home, Mystic, Higher and Higher, Your Mother Was Right. So those are proper Gillan tracks. Future Shock again had these epic Towns Gillan tracks with like Bite the Bullet, If I Sing Softly, which is the other you were seeing writing them from McCoy and Torme coming in at this point. What is missing, I guess, from here in some ways, but how could they do it? This album, Future Shock, had a booklet in it with some fantastic portraits of the band. It would have been nice if they could have been included somehow in the booklet, but they probably just ran out of space. But you've got tons of bonus tracks here. Again, B-sides of the singles. There were so many singles. I remember buying each one of them as picture sleeves, and each B-side was not on the album. And some of these singles had at least 2 B-sides, if not 2 A-sides. So Gillan gave absolute value for money on these releases. And, things like off New Orleans, what was the B-side of that? Your Sister's on My List. Wasn't that one, was it? It was, yes, Take a Hold of Yourself. Great track, wonderful playing. Double Trouble, a changing lineup. Janet Gears, who went on to be in Iron Maiden, is on here. And again, there's another epic Towns Gillan track, and this is Born to Kill. Absolutely fantastic track, literally several parts. It's just stunning. But my favourite track off this was Sunbeam, because Yannick's guitar solo is just sublime. Absolutely sublime. The live stuff, I wasn't so sure about at the time, but it's great here because you get the extra tracks. So it is a proper full live album. And again, the B-sides are from Nightmare and Trouble, which was a double pack 7-inch single at the time. And then the last one is Magic, which I remember my friend saying to me, it's not really magic, is it? But I think it was, again, it has another Gillan Townes epic song, and that is Demon Driver, which is a superb track. But the Stevie Wonder track, which was Living for the Cities, fantastic, great video again with that. Could they have included a DVD with some videos on it? That's been already done before, and they're probably thinking, well, this has already been done, and you can easily find those on YouTube. I'm sure there was probably some other stuff they could have included, but I think they've kept it neat. And as I say, I think this is aimed at people who missed out on these double packs, have found it literally impossible to find the Japanese album on CD, and a way of collecting all those B-sides so you don't have to go and find those 7-inch singles. And that's who this is aimed at. And so if you don't have any of the Gillan albums, this is a great place to jump in. When it says at the front of the box 1982, that is using their kind of creativity a bit, because they've kind of tidied it up by using the South Africa single, which came out in 1988. So that's not quite staying in focus within those years, but it is still part of the Ian Gillan package before, of course, he rejoined Deep Purple. So I'm going to recommend this. It's about £35 for 7 CDs, of which it would be very hard to find these separately and get it under that price. The booklet is good. Ian Gillan has been involved. I've seen him do a couple of videos on this as well, so he's obviously behind it. But the Gillan band are an important part of the Deep Purple family story, without a doubt. So this is out incredibly soon. In fact, by the time you watch this video, it will be out. And so if you have gaps in your Ian Gillan catalogue, story, collection, then this is a wonderful place to jump in. So thank you for watching, thank you for being here. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Please buy some merch, become a patron or YouTube member, and get to see all these videos before they get a general release. Plus you can join the WhatsApp group and the Facebook group as well, and come along to our twice monthly virtual meetups down our own virtual pub called the Now Spinning Arms. So keep spinning those discs. Let me know which is your favourite Gillan track, album in the comments, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.